What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 40th episode of In the Trenches with Spidey. That's really cool to say. 40. Anyway, our guest today is a fellow filmmaker and director. We met back in 2012 during Jason Aldean's tour where he was a headliner and he was shooting for Luke Bryan, who was tour support. He's gone on to direct music videos for Luke Bryan, Cole Swindell, even an Amazon series for Luke Bryan called My Dirt Road Diaries, a series, which is really cool as a filmmaker to say you've done. And that comes with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge and a lot of rooms he was in. So I can't wait for y'all to hear his perspective. But I want to remind y'all, if you're digging the content, like, share, and subscribe. Please, it helps. So let's jump right now into it with Michael Monaco. Look who we got in the trenches today. We got my good friend, Michael Monaco, man. Thank you for...
Good to see you, Ryan.
Thank you, man. The last time I remember really getting to spend quality time with you was what? I mean, quality time. 2000...
A long time ago on a tour bus, probably.
Yeah, tour bus with when Luke Bryan was tour support for Aldean. And
we spent more time than that together.
Yeah, recently, I mean, when you were doing the documentary and things like that, right?
But yeah, 2012.
That's where we met.
Yeah, we spent a lot of great time. You were with Aldean, and I was filming Luke, and we just, man, we had a great time.
That was fun. I remember one of the things I was picking your brain because you had very little interest, or I shouldn't say it like that because I do remember you did have a lot of interest, but your passion was a lot of the video side of what you were doing with Luke, right?
Yeah.
And mine was the photo side. And, you know, your world, you got to go back to 2012, right? So it's not what it is today. That was kind of early. That was just documenting, right? Was it early stuff wasn't for Instagram because Instagram wasn't out yet.
No, it was purely honestly for YouTube. Luke, Dierks Bentley, and Lady A were the only people who did like webisodes, weekly webisodes. And I still to this day don't take photos, and that wasn't a job I had to do back then. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different game.
Yeah, I remember
because like historically, like artists would have the merchandise guy would go out and take a flip video or like a handy cam, and if there was ever anything recorded, it was the merch guy who had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So let's flash it back real quick. So where did your thirst for visuals come from? You were, Cleveland.
Well, when I was 13, I moved to Los Angeles. I wanted to act, and I was super into that world, and I had a manager out there. So I went out to California a lot through high school. But when I moved out there, I got super homesick from Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Ohio. I grew up literally like between 30 minutes to downtown Cleveland and 30 minutes to Amish country. So I grew up in both worlds of pretty much your average guy. Mm-hmm. But when I moved to LA, I was definitely homesick, and I didn't even listen to country music, but I went to one day just watch some country videos, and I just like fell in love. And I would make country music videos in high school. I'd set up tripods. I would sing a Tim McGraw song. I'd be the artist, and then I'd go film a story because I had nobody that would, like, I didn't know anybody that was making music. And also back in those days, to make videos and to make music, it was different. Like I'd film something and I'd edit off of filming a TV. Yeah. There was no way to like edit.
Okay, so you're saying the DIY approach.
Yeah.
To learning how to create something, you had to get real inventive and
totally.
Okay.
Like if you had titles, you had to print off something, get your camera, and put it on the ground and like.
Did you watch a lot of music? So you watched a lot of music videos. Was it MTV or CMT?
So when I was a kid, of course, TRL was massive, but I would watch GAC.
So you saw my
CMT.
videos
Oh my God.
TRL.
That's why it's crazy I know you, because you're the damn GOAT. You and Sean Silva, but I can't believe your first video ever was Bone Thugs.
Bone.
I grew up in Cleveland. So
Bone is the big, I was going to say about.
That's the only reason I was friends with you, because I was like, what?
You did Bone? The thing about Bone is like they do, like when you think of Cleveland, you're thinking, okay, here's what I think of Cleveland. Bone, MGK, LeBron back when it was
Yeah.
you know, that were dominating the sport.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I had a number of videos on TRL. So you studied.
Yeah,
You
so
studied all that.
I mean, a lot of my friends will vouch. I mean, I tell people when I was 15, 16, I want to make country music videos one day. And that was literally what my goal was at that age.
Wow, that's cool. That's mine.
Country music videos?
No, but I wanted to direct music videos.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't have the allure of doing movies at that time or anything. It was like I was so moved as a kid coming home from school, whatever, glued to MTV. I wanted to do whatever that was.
And I loved, and also like I always say, Santa brought me my first camera when I was like 9 or 10. So I had my own camera.
Okay.
And then I moved to LA and I became friends with a bunch of the Disney kids. We had the same manager, you know? So I'd actually would go on sets of Disney shows. Like my buddy was on That's So Raven. He, Orlando Brown, one of my best friends growing up.
Wow.
And I would go on set and I'd film, and I'd go to like Raven's dressing room, and I go to like Rondell Sheridan, and I'd interview them, and it'd just be me, a kid. Like, hey, can I ask you some questions? And like back in those days, like now there's no way you could bring a camera on set. Like, but back in those days, no one even knew what a kid with a camera was doing. But I fell in love with like behind the scenes too. Like I loved behind the scenes stuff. I loved like making of the videos. I loved like that aspect.
The perspective where you don't, you know, like I remember watching like Making the Movie, I think it was, and you'd see this raw thing, and then you'd see the colored version next to it. You're like, wow.
Yeah. See, I'm not like you. I don't like color. I'm colorblind.
Really?
Yeah, but like for me, like I would watch Bad Boys 2 was like my favorite movie, but I didn't watch the movie. I'd watch the 22 episode behind the scenes on the bonus DVD. Mm-hmm. And still to this day, I'd rather watch like that than the movie.
You know, and that's interesting because I've always, and we're certainly going to get into it. And I figured with you, since we know each other so well and we hang out like two peas in a pod, we're going to get off target. But I always looked at you as a filmmaker of life, you know, to document someone else's life, to be able to pull out a perspective, to see the forest from the trees of them and to film that. I think that's one of your superpowers, you know, more than necessarily saying I need to play God and create everything, put everything in a place and tell everything where to move. Mm-hmm. You know, would you kind of?
Yeah, I think for me, if I had a perfect world to make a project, it would be an independent story to tell, independent documentary. I don't want to go out with a big crew.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out with a bunch of people I got to report to on emails. Mm-hmm. I just want to go make something, and if it's good enough, then people will see it. And I have enough confidence that I'm going to make something good enough that people will see. But I don't. Yeah, I mean, telling stories has always been my passion. Like I can't go light an interview. I can't do lighting. Like, I mean, you've lit interviews for me. You lit some interviews in my documentary. I still to this day, you know, I've done some big projects. Still to this day, I can't light anything. That's never been a passion of mine. That's never been something I wanted to spend time on. I've been fortunate that on projects we can hire people who can light, but like, I just want to go out and just tell a story, and that's, I mean.
Well, interesting you say that. Mark Classfield is an amazing music video director. Alien Ant Farm, Sum 41, my lord, Scarface, tons of music videos, classic music videos. And his colorist, David Hussey, who I used many times, would say, because I would come into a session, and I would come into my session, but previous was Mark Classfield's, and I would, can you pop up Mark's frame store for me so I can just see what they're doing? Mm-hmm. And they would be kind of natural. You know, and I asked Dave, like, oh, you want to push it more? And oh my God, the film looks so rich. Can you do this with it, that with it? He goes, yeah, but Mark doesn't really care too much about that. Meaning he doesn't want that to overtake the story. He said that. And I've always remembered that because I'm one who always kind of steps on every lane. If you want to call it every line item, I kind of step on it a bit, I call it. I have my fingers in it. And sometimes I've used what Dave told me about Mark Classfield in my work, and it sounds something very similar to what you're doing. You're like, maybe not that you say it like I don't have a lot of passion for it, But also maybe there's something like if it's too much, if it's too saucy, you're caring more about that than possibly the intimacy, or, the realness of it or whatever.
I mean, you can look at like pretty images all day, but if there's no story, then you don't stay engaged. I definitely think, I've been very blessed to have some great DPs on projects to where I'm like, damn, that is sick. You just took my idea and made it look a lot cooler.
I love that Cole Swindell, Lainey Wilson video. Oh my God, that thing like grips visuals. You know what I mean? Like,
and we got lucky, like the right time of day. Like we would shift our
What video was that for?
That was called Never Say Never. And we were at a prison and I was like stressed. That was a pretty big crew shoot, actually.
It had to be with that kind of lighting.
Well, but I would stress everybody out because I would like shift gears because like sun was coming in. I'm like, no, stop what you're doing. Come in here. Everyone's like, and I'm like the kind of person, I just like wing it. And I like to like not wing it, but I don't like schedules. I don't like, if I have an AD start giving me a bunch of stuff and asking me too many questions, I'm like, listen, we always finish my projects early. We're always on time. Don't stress. And I like to bring that to sets. Like,
well, you want to explore.
Exactly.
You said that thing about light through the window. I remember on the Eminem Yellow Wolf video through the church.
Yeah, that's sick. I remember that video.
Everything was centered around light coming through that stained glass window so I could light this one performance.
Yeah.
And the light kept dipping and dipping, and time was getting. And as the sun got behind, even if it was a building from the next door.
Yeah.
Now I had to bring light in to kind of compensate. I think there was I definitely got something with Marshall on that light. I knew I never let a blue hour go to waste, right, Troy? I'm always like, grab the artist, throw him in front of this, and shoot a shot. Just shoot blue hour, shoot sunset. You know what I mean? I digress.
Well, I've used a lot of your images and treatments. Just like how I want it to look. Like that one Lee Bryce video you did, like on the beach, and it was so long ago. I don't remember the name of it now. But it was the imagery of like the girl and like just the tones and everything. Like, you felt something through the way you put it together and just the images. It wasn't a big storyline, but you felt it on that one.
Well, you have a choice in videos. You can tell stories, of course, right? Or you can rely heavily on the visuals and the visuals to kind of emote the lyric, right? So I think a lot of times in country videos, we get into heavy storyline videos because the song is kind of narrating you this story. I prefer the visuals that can get real. Number one, put the artist number one. That's like, that's where I'm at. But anyway.
We're getting paid. That's the thing though. Like you can't, if you're getting hired to do a job and you got to put sometimes you got to put like your wishes aside because it is about the artist. They're hiring you to do something. So your story that you wanted to tell, you might have to cut it a little bit to get more shots of the artist. And Absolutely. That's rightfully they're paying you to do that.
I noticed usually where I struggle with that in the edits is where I want shots to play out longer, right? But the second you need to pepper in more performance, your breath, your moments of inflection or humanity get ripped to an ESPN highlight.
I know.
It's like clack, clack, and you're like, wait, let's remove those three shots and let's not necessarily have to play the everybody needs to be even game, and let's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of works into anyway. So when did you move to Nashville?
So I moved to Nashville in 2011 and
roughly when I met you then.
Yeah, and I actually worked for the Academy of Country Music for 5 or 6 years. They were based in Los Angeles. They were created out in LA to give West Coast artists representation. So I didn't even know they were in LA. So I went to college and I filmed weddings in college. I filmed hundreds of weddings.
Smart.
Oh, that's where I learned everything. I didn't learn anything in film school. Sorry.
Well, you learn by doing.
Yeah.
And you learn business. You learned all the things that they really don't teach you. They didn't when I was there, but people running a wedding photography or wedding videography business is that's lucrative.
Well, when people ask me their advice and they're wanting to do this, I say, go shoot weddings. You're going to make great money And B, most importantly, you have to tell a story. You got to tell a story on your own. You got to light it. You got to make sure it sounds good. You have to know the equipment. It's guerrilla warfare. It really is, though. It makes you.
I know.
It's tough. I mean,
you're all in. Times you have to be someplace and you're trying to get a drone up in the air.
And that set
shoot both things. But
that set me up when I moved to Nashville and I started working for Luke. I mean, I was doing circles around this guy, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Used to shooting weddings. I'm setting up all these cameras," and he's like, "All right, chill out."
How did you come in contact? How did the relationship between you and Luke start?
So when I was working for the ACMs, I was the in-house video guy, and they had this. They still do. It's called ACM Honors, and I was editing a project, and had headphones on, and I kept going, "Hey y'all, Luke." I kept like imitating his voice, and people would hear it, and then they thought it was so funny. And then Luke came in to do an artist visit, and everyone was like, "Oh, you got to do this impression of Luke," and I was like, "Oh God." So I did it. And then him and his manager, Carrie, like laughed and thought it was funny. They didn't. So now I find out they get back in the car and they're like, "What in the world was that?" Making fun of me for my impression of him. But at the time, I really wanted to move to Nashville. I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, and I wanted to get to Tennessee. And I emailed every artist camp in Nashville at the time. And he was the only person who needed somebody and also saw the vision. Like I said, there was only 2 other artists that were doing webisodes. No artist had video guys.
Now, did you pitch him that? Did you solicit that when you?
I emailed his manager and I said, I was just like, "Hey, I want to move to Nashville. I want to shoot videos on tour," and they were like, "We're actually looking for somebody to do that." Cole Swindell, he used to film LBTV back when he was the merch guy.
Yeah.
And then it was my buddy Blaine, who Blaine is a big music guy now. He used to film LBTV. And then I came in with my wedding skills and
I remember LBTV because when we were on tour, now we're back caught up on 2012-ish, I would imagine. We're on tour and you were religious about your work ethic out there. You were all places, all things, gear, cutting, everything. And I'm like, and then there were these LBTV that were getting these great, views and things. And that was early, that wasn't early YouTube, but it was like country, like artists were starting their own channels to make
fans,
the content that people wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, I look at my old episodes, I'm like, God, that's awful, like terrible.
Sure.
But at the time, it was good.
But it's early. Yeah, you got to think 2012.
But these fans had like Luke had a flip video camera that was like one of those like rectangle things. That's what they filmed it on. And then you'd have like the merch guy filming and editing it. So they were terrible. Yeah. They were good. The content was good, but they were terrible. And then I came in with my wedding skills and started and then everyone was like, "Whoa, that's great." Because I treated it like a wedding. Mm-hmm. And then we got a lot of traction with the webisode. But early on, my goal, I had a lot of big goals. I wanted to be a director. Mm-hmm. I had to earn that. And then B, I wanted to make documentaries. I grew up I grew up loving like all the Michael Jordan documentaries. I didn't watch movies. I watched documentaries. So when I saw that I was with an artist that I learned a little bit of his story, man, what a crazy story this guy has. With everything in his life. And then I'm there to see, I had the best seat in the house. I literally had the best seat in the house. I watched a guy go from a normal country artist who's starting off to a superstar. And I literally had the best seat. Any song you heard, I was this close. At the moments that he saw on stage, I was right behind him. I had the best seat in the house.
The good, the bad, and the right? There were tough times as well. Well, and you were there to document it.
Yeah, but I was very blessed with as a filmmaker or a wannabe filmmaker, an aspiring filmmaker. I had like everything at my disposal to then take it to the next level. So I took that very serious. I was very blessed because Luke and his manager Carrie always promoted like, if you do your job well, the sky's the limit. You can go and explore and keep doing whatever you could do to live your dreams. And they always supported me on that. And they gave me opportunities where other guys doing my job weren't getting to go direct videos. They weren't getting to go direct these TV. I mean, I directed like several TV specials. I'm just a guy on a bus with a camera, 5D, and a laptop. But I'm getting these huge opportunities because he and his manager were very awesome about that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, do you think that nowadays that kind of webisodes are now given on Instagram, right? I mean, that would be the direct correlation, wouldn't you think?
I would hope that anyone that's filming on the road is looking beyond Instagram and TikTok, and they're also documenting a story because.
Well, let's talk about that. Documenting a story through having ownership. And that's a tough word in these circles these days, and I don't want to go too deep in it because I feel like I do all the time. But did Luke give you ownership of these videos and in this content? Or you work out things with him? I mean, that's a lot of what I'm hearing are people giving away this stuff and they have no use of any of it. And you're just getting, you know, whatever paycheck and a t-shirt, that's it.
Well, for me, I mean, not to go too personal, but like I had a job to do when I was a salary employee of Luke Bryan for 10 years. I got a salary to do a job, and that was like to go deliver like a webisode and to document.
Yeah.
He owned anything that I went and filmed. Rightfully so. He's hiring me.
Sure.
But he also let me go have a business, which I have with my best friend.
It was gonna.
And if I had a music video or the record label needs a commercial or they want to do a TV show, then that was separate. So that was handled through a business, just like anyone else who would get hired.
Yeah.
So there was really no like, I mean, I never even asked for a raise because I got one raise, but I never, and it was like,
he took care of you in
and everyone
so
else
many
was getting
areas.
raises, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but it was never something, I'm like, I'm getting paid to go like hang out with my best friends, be part of this crazy ride. I have a job to do. And I'm also getting supported to go and do his videos and do that on the side. And I did get paid extra, you know, where I'm sure there's guys out there who are like on salary and going to do music videos and aren't getting paid extra. But I also had, you know, mentors that also let me know like, hey, if your picture's on a t-shirt, you should get paid extra for it.
I remember you hollering many times asking, what should I, or all that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a gray area. And like, I remember us trying to like get pays on the views on YouTube. It's just not, I mean, you got to pick your battles. And
for sure.
I just felt for me personally, like, you know, if you're with an artist who's doing hot, you're going to do hot. And there's going to be years where you are making really good money.
Yeah.
But you can't let the money taint your creative realm. And I feel like that's a huge thing to keep in mind. If you're in the creative world, no matter what it is, once money creeps in and you start thinking about it, your craft is going to suffer. So I've always said, you know, I want to make filmmaking my career, but not my business. Meaning I don't want that to be, I mean, yeah, you have to get paid, but I want to do it because I'm fired up about the project.
For sure. Absolutely.
You know?
You started around that time, then Fly High, right? Because Fly High, when you and I were on the road, chatting away, it was like a drone thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a great name, brother. You
well,
know what
I mean, drones,
obviously,
you know,
yeah. But like, I loved it. And then it morphed into, I guess, because your business was you had assets needed from all angles. So you formed a business, right?
I was like, I'm not just saying this. I was one of the very first people that had a drone. Like the first Phantom that came out, I stumbled across a B&H catalog. I was like, what in the world is this? I ordered it. Didn't even have FPV, which is where you can see the image.
Yeah.
And my business partner, Ryan, he's like the smartest guy I know. He went to Duke, got his master's from Duke. He's sitting there like soldering wires and cables and stuff. We got like, you know, got to see the image. And then I was like, hey, we should do this company called Fly High Films and we can go film golf courses and like go do stuff and make $1,000 a day. $1,000 a day back then was like crazy.
Sure.
And then I started having these big opportunities like music videos to direct.
And festivals.
And festivals and all that. And then he was like, well, I think Ryan, he'll say this too, like in a business, if you're going to have a partner, you got to find somebody that has a strength in one area and in another area. My strengths are nowhere near, I can't even do what Ryan does. He could probably do what I do because, you know, people are creative. But like, so we worked in that realm that way. And I started having big opportunities, and he was there, and he's like, I'll invest in this. You know, we bought a Red camera together, I think.
How did that feel to have almost like an ultimate superpower where you felt that your weak area was now lifted as a creative? Now I should almost empower you, because I know that does for me.
Yeah,
Having a small team, but knowing that the voids that I can't deal with are fulfilled, makes me dominate. I don't feel fear. I don't have that doubt.
I would hate to have to go do a video and think about logistics. I just want to go literally like go be creative and like just be wild. And I don't want to think about like anything. So
has logistics ever affected, or not fear, but the distaste, fear, or whatever of the logistics ever detoured a creative? Like,
no,
that sounds like a mess. I don't want to deal with that. I'll go over here.
No,
or do you let the creative be the creative?
I always shoot for the stars. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in thinking positive. We're going to make this happen. We're going to figure it out. But I also very efficient when I do film. Like when I'm doing a video, I always edit the video before I even shoot it. Meaning I go on Premiere and I type in the shot of what I want that to be. And then I go in and I type out the shot. I already make the video. So then when I go to set, like I said earlier, we never go over. People I have so many people tell me they love being on my set because I'm calm. Usually no one's stressed out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you guys, for this 1-2 shot, we don't need it all. Like, just get a nice lens and shoot shallow, or just it's a story. Now, I don't get hired to do like videos like you do. Well, like there's imagery that is insane. And like, I don't get hired for that type of stuff. I always get hired to do story videos.
Oh, you found your niche though.
So that's part of my style. And if there's less production, and give me the camera, take all this off it. I don't need a lot of this extra stuff.
Actually, because if you do have all that extra stuff, it hinders you.
And I've learned that like the more comfortable you get in that role as a director, then you are actually the one in charge. And I don't want to have this extra stuff. I mean, so I tell my producers like, hey, I don't need somebody to like do this. This is silly.
Yeah.
Like that's more stress. Like,
but you had to learn that.
Yeah, you have to learn that.
You have to learn that, and you don't just wake up and find your style. It's if I'm gonna find my style, it's not gonna be with X, Y, and Z. It's gonna be through A, B, and C. I filmed videos
the same way I did when I was 13, running around the woods, delegating my cousins what to go do. Hey, go run through the woods and jump over that log.
Well, that's probably no mystery. You're going back to what felt great.
I mean, that always works.
You know what I mean? Something you said earlier where it was like somehow so simple or whatever it was. I'm like, yeah, but don't you wish it was like that still? Like you were talking about the beginning days, and you just dropped a camera and you would go to friends' houses and you just basically said, I'm going there. Has life, children, situations in life affected that energy? Like, can we get that back?
Yeah.
At this phase in life, you know, that's what I constantly look for, because I've changed with kids, deaths in my life, just things happening to me, it wears on you, and over time you're looking to get that, maybe not innocence, but that purity of, what you did when you first moved to LA, what I did when I first moved to LA. Hell, what I did when I first moved to Nashville. Do you know what I mean? Like, where is that? Is it gone? Is it sharper? Is it just more Denzel Washington?
Man, I don't know. I think, passion runs everything.
Yeah.
So I think once you find, there was no way in hell I could do the career I've had if I had a family. And that's just because I wouldn't want to. You have to really hustle your ass off. Like, I've been very blessed and fortunate, and I've been given a lot of great opportunities, but there was a lot of grind, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of doing 18 projects at once, or just always, man. And then there was also years of, until I met my wife, I was single. I mean, I had a girlfriend, but I didn't share money with this,
no.
So I lived off
you had a house.
Yeah, but I had a vision that I knew one day I wanted a family. So I sacrificed. I didn't spend money. I lived off per diem. I lived a very frugal life, and I was making great money. I invested it into myself or invested into my business.
Yeah, you did.
So then by the time, I think everything happens at the right time. I wanted to make 10 years on the road with Luke. I wanted to give that commitment, 10 years, and then my documentary came out at the right timing, and then my family grew at that time. So for me, it was a natural. Now, yes, I can't go out and have that spark of like, I'm going to go conquer Nashville and the world. Like I want to be with my family. I don't even want to try that, but I've got projects that I'm fired up about that I'm developing right now. And I'm working on internally that gives you that fire that I had when I was working on like, say my Luke Bryan documentary. That was a fire that never died out in 10 years.
I know how long.
It took me 10 years to make that project for a lot of circumstances.
We're talking Luke Bryan's My Dirt Road Diary.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it was in Netflix, right?
Amazon.
It
took 10 years to make that. And that was just, like I said, a lot of different reasons.
How much post time?
I mean,
because that's what I know you went through. Well, let's talk about the post of you doing like full. I mean, that documentary, because it was driving you batshit crazy.
Well, so Luke,
because you were still working at some point, leaving. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, it was. I didn't want to. So my documentary or my movie, I called it a movie back then. I ended up having like 11 episodes, the longest version of it. They were like hour long. It was like 11 hours. So boring. I actually showed my family like a long cut. My Uncle Mark's like, all right, Mike, I got to go. I'm sorry. This is getting too long. This is boring. I'm like, wow.
Well, hey, you gotta hit it.
But what happened with the documentary was that was a passion project, a labor of love that I had. And Luke gave me his blessing, said, sure, you can go to my hometown and talk to my teachers and talk to my parents. And he's like, he knew I was doing it, but we were never filming a documentary. So there was no real story arc. It was a biography in a sense of like, I'm capturing what I can and I'm going to tell what story I can, but there was no like struggle or climax. So I got the documentary to a point where it excited a lot of people. Then we got connected with Amazon, and then it was like, all right, now we got to like kind of construct like we got to kind of format it a little differently. And we did. And, but yeah, I mean, it's the thing I'm most proud about. I mean, it was a huge goal of mine. It was a huge goal of mine that I'm proud to say, like, I made it happen. It took 10 years. Most people, I think, if they knew it would take 10 years, they'd be like, hell no, I'm not doing that.
And think about it as a piece of work to move forward. I mean, you have a full piece, long form.
Yeah, I mean, and I just watched it like 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen it for like 3 years.
It's good to step away.
I was like, damn, that's actually pretty good.
That's awesome.
So that's that's the most satisfaction, I think, is when you just love a piece of work that you made. That's, I think where I get the most satisfaction.
Telling stories and
just where you like finish a video, like there's been music videos or say the documentary where I just sit there and just watch it over and over in the morning. I'll drink coffee. I'll be waking bacon, smoking some weed, and I'll just be in my garage or wherever. And then just like watching it and like, damn, that's good. Watch it. Damn, that's pretty good.
You gotta love your own work. You really do. So developing that documentary, not developing it, but making it happen. And then you said having a family, you moved. Did you take a hiatus from directing music videos, or just kind of like, I don't know, the industry? You kind of, did you do more videos? What was the in between getting you out of the documentary? So
I kind of did take some time off just because like I was working for Luke, doing music videos, making a documentary. Like I had so much going on for 10 straight years and I needed a break.
Yeah.
But I also had another project that it took me 6 years called The Holiday Hut.
Yeah.
So I had this other project. So I was like, I got really focused into that, and that took a lot of my time. And that's what, makes money for me.
Did you find it did you find it interesting getting back? Has the industry changed when you took that hiatus? Because I know that I took about a 6-month hiatus back in 2005 to develop a movie. Well, the movie never got made, and I tried to jump back into orbit, into the current, and I'm like, my last video was $600,000, And then I'm expecting that, and now I'm coming into like 87.
Yeah,
and the whole business has changed.
Yeah.
And I know the business has changed. How was it for you in comparison to that story?
I think for me, like, I don't really want to do what I was doing for the last 10 years.
Okay.
So, like, I just don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. I want to go make movies now. Like, I want to keep doing music videos, and I'm going to do them as long as I can because, like, hell, getting nominated at an award show is, I don't care what anyone says, that's cool as shit.
Absolutely.
Like, I want to do that again. Now, I'm not trying to go make a ton of money directing videos. I'm not trying to make that my business, but I want that to be my career. You know, one day I want to, you know, I've made history in part, not, I haven't made history, but like I have things that I've done through Luke that will be there forever. And that is history. That's what I want to do. But I have 2 movies that I'm working on right now. And like I said, I have other businesses and other things that I'm involved in that I don't necessarily have to stay so busy with film. I can focus on making a movie. I can focus on other documentaries.
What was it about music videos that you feel like you said, well, music videos, but not as a business? What do you mean by that? Is it very difficult to sustain a business in your opinion as a music video director? I would agree.
There is no
talk about it.
Well, I mean, like I said, when you're with an artist that is hot and like say you're with like an artist that's just like blowing up, which you are, you've been with a lot of those artists. There's a lot of projects and big budgets that come with that. And then also just all the work that comes with other artists wanting you to do that work. But to sustain that type of level of income, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to think about that kind of stuff because that's going to ruin your projects. Yeah. So there was like years where, you know, we were doing a lot of projects and obviously make a lot of income. That's, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. That's insane. Like that type of working, that is insane. That, no, thank you. You can't live life. I mean, those were years where you just don't live life. You don't go to weddings. You don't hang out with your family.
In what way?
You're literally, you're on a tour bus. And then the days you get home, like any day I was home, I was doing music videos. I had to do whatever was urgent on my calendar. So if I got off the road on Sunday, I usually had projects I was doing. So I had to like do that. But then also I had to figure out how am I going to do my documentary? I didn't want to bring in people for my documentary from LA or anyone else creatively. I wanted to do it on my own. I didn't want anyone else's help. If it took 10 years, which it did, it took 10 years. Sorry. So I had to figure out a time window in my busy schedule. I think there's no way I could have done that with a family because there's no way.
Yeah, you imagine.
And you wouldn't want to. Why would you want to be away? Yeah. Like, I mean, my wife and I are huge about this is the most precious time of life over anything. Yeah. Our kids are young. My youngest just started walking. 2 of my kids still poop their pants. Like I have time to go do career when they're wiping their own asses one day.
Well, you're fortunate to be able to do that. You've made proper decisions and proper moves to allow that when you had resources to do all that stuff. I mean, that's growing older.
Yeah,
and being
and
wiser.
my wife, I mean, I don't want to like my wife does a lot for our family. So I'm fortunate that she does what she does.
Marriage,
yeah, I mean, dual income, baby.
That's what we do. Have you ever had an embarrassing moment on stage, fallen off stage? Have you ever fallen?
So I used to use the glide cam, like the steady cam gimbal system, and I used to call it the coot scoot because I would walk. I'm like this giant 6'3" guy, like running around the stage and it looked so goofy. And I only fell off stage one time, and I don't like talking about it because there'll be more days I'm on stage filming. Yeah. But it was at LSU Stadium. Luke was playing, and I fell backwards, and you could see the camera frame, Luke going. Oh. But I fell on people. It was awesome. But I was so embarrassed. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have that footage?
Yeah, I had that footage of the.
We'll want it.
Archived. Yeah, dude, I like know where everything is. Like,
I bet.
Just by like the way I'm the most unorganized like person on my hard drives. Like, that was another issue of anyone trying to come into my world. But like I could just like that one's called 5D Bayou Fest / police escort. That's where that footage is. I know everything. Wow,
that's crazy. Now, okay, on that subject. Do you have what's a moment that you remember filming that you're like, holy shit, like this is happening, good, bad, indifferent, just an aha, holy shit, this is am I recording? I'm recording. Okay, good. You're like every night.
Yeah.
No, but like,
well, I think when Luke was like winning like Entertainer of the Year, I was like working on a documentary. So I was like, these are great scenes for my project. So I took them very serious. But I remember the first time he won, like I remember I was shaking, and at those days, I was sneaking into the award shows. Again, camera people weren't normal to have.
You're right.
Now they're everywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
So like I had to sneak in there. I'm like, I'm about to get arrested. Like I had to like pop the camera up and like just when I had, and just like the moments of like, this is all coming true just the way I've envisioned it for this guy. Like when Cole Swindell won, so Luke Bryan won Entertainer of the Year and Cole Swindell won New Artist, but they won it at the 50th ACM Awards. That's a big monument, right?
Yeah.
And me and Cole would put it in the universe years prior. We're like doing the math. All right, you get a record deal, and then you do this, and then it's gonna work out. You and Luke are gonna win. It's for our story. This is gonna happen. And we like talked about that. And then flash forward 2-3 years later, the 50th ACM, Luke wins Entertainer, Cole wins New Artist. And me and Cole talked about that. We manifested that together.
I remember that.
We're like, it's gonna be the end of the documentary. It's gonna and it made the documentary, but
I remember going over to your house one winter, and Cole was over there, but Cole had like literally maybe or maybe not, I don't even remember, he just signed a Warner deal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think you had blinds on the wall windows yet. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Crazy what Cole's done. I did. I got to do.
Yeah. What did you do? Oh,
Carolina.
Yes.
What's that song called?
Heads Carolina.
Heads Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah, that was super fun. I hadn't seen Carrie in forever.
Yes.
That was really
That
awesome.
was right when my documentary came out, and I was like, I didn't even do a treatment for that. I was like, I'm so toast.
Well, my first comment,
which I'm like, that was a huge.
Where's Mike?
Yeah, I was like, man, that's a big.
That's what I said.
That was a huge song.
Are you sure? Where's Mike at?
And I mean, Cole's one of my best friends, and I've been so blessed and fortunate. Like he and I have. Yeah. He's one of those friends that he's one of my lifelong best friends, and like you don't have to see each other for a long time or talk. But when we get back, we're like that.
Yeah, you lock in.
And getting to be a part of his career has been just as special. And I think for me, like I think about my future, probably only want to keep doing things for those two guys as I move on to my own stuff.
Sure.
I always want to be a part of their career, but I just don't have the energy to like start over, like with the New Artist. You know, that's tough. Yeah. That's a lot of investment, emotional investment.
Absolutely, and I relate to that. I pour a lot of emotion into the artists I work for. Is there any advice you would give a young buck who is trying to? Because nowadays, you know, they do need to be taught more. I think, you know, these young cats coming in with the dreams of jumping on tours, and it does sound cool, obviously, you know, and I've done it, and it is cool. What the hell, you know, when you're young and you've got plenty of, it's fun. It's a good chopping block to play in, but also you're coming in very green. You know, and some of that greenness is what, you know, watering over into the production lane. You know, a lot of it. You know, because and just the industry itself. But would you give? Where would you start? You know, to tell someone who's fresh. I mean, it's like, God, where do you start?
I mean, as long as that kid is hungry, I mean, you'll do. I mean. When I wanted to see my name as director, and then when you sell music videos, I would do anything in the world to get to that point. I didn't care if I did it for free. I was so fired up about that fire. And if you don't have that fire, it's going to be a real long road ahead of you. So do it because you love it. And if you have a job, say you get hired to be on tour to go film Billy Bob. Is that an artist? I don't know.
Who knows? Probably.
You get hired to go film somebody, and you're getting paid to do something you love. You're also getting paid to go learn. Sit on YouTube. Sit down. Watch other people's videos. I don't watch anything anymore. I just like to kind of have peace, and I'm not sitting on Instagram or TikTok watching videos.
Yeah, but the 20-year-old you.
But by 20-year-old me, I studied it and I learned it, and there was guys like yourself that I would watch all your videos, and I learned, you know, because the fire was there. Yeah. So I think you just got to do it because you love it. Don't ever try to let any other factors get in the way. Like, don't get so big that don't let money get in the way.
Yeah.
You know?
I studied it like crazy too. I mean, again, when I was studying music videos, there wasn't tour video, people going out on tour. It was.
I'm studying movies right now. I'm literally watching movies and I'm studying it, just the way I would do when I would watch documentaries. I'm not copying it. I'm studying it.
But you're also trying to find references or creatives, a director, people you can model because their style,
timing,
is fitting something you like. You're gonna find movies and projects to watch, to soak in, that are somewhat like-minded to something you see yourself doing. Is that right? I do. I find myself that way.
I mean, I'm gonna do a style that I know is my style and strength. I can't go do. I mean, I see music videos that I'm like, there's no way I could do that. That's just not my strengths or my style. But that is a badass video. I mean. So yeah, it's like music. I mean, if you're an artist, you don't sound, one artist isn't going to sound the same as the other. They have different styles and strengths. And if you try to do that, you might look weird. So I think same thing. If you're a creative person, I just love being creative. I don't care if I'm painting, drawing, building, architecture, videos. Like I said, do it because you love it.
Sure. Do you still love music videos?
I mean, for the right song. I mean, I have gotten to the point where I don't want to put myself in situations that I can't excel in. So if the song or budget's not there, I just don't want to even try.
How many years have I been telling you that?
But it's got to
be right for you.
But when you're hungry and you're trying to make it, you'll do anything, even if you think the song's terrible and there's no money to be made.
Yeah.
I don't have the luxury now. I have a family. I can't go do something to make no money. My wife's gonna be like, "Wait, you're gonna do that for free?" That doesn't.
No, that don't happen.
But to earn, if you're a young kid, go find a band and go tell them to do a free video and impress the shit out of somebody. That's what I would do. I'd walk around my high school with a music video I made. I try to impress people. I try to earn that.
So your advice would be make moves, make your moves young, make all those moves young because you can afford it.
Whoa.
This is from bestcolleges.com.
She was listening. AI is on us.
I think being young and don't having a lot of responsibility is a great help in any career. If you're trying to be a banker,
that was my biggest advice when I spoke to colleges, film schools. They would always ask, how did you get to this doing this? So young. Well, I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I wanted it. I put everything else aside, but also because I didn't have any distractions. I didn't have any anchors and, no baggage. Not that families are. I'm just saying I didn't have anything holding me back. It's different once you start to have a family. Rightfully so. But it also hasn't having a family and children inspire new things from your perspective. Your perspective's got to change.
Oh my
having
gosh.
Children, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen? I know mine. I know right when I
all three of my kids' births are like movies. I filmed the shit out of them. Just man, this is epic. Everything that I do is you put your family first. So
sure.
Like I said, I'm in a position where I want to go make movies and that's my goals. But first you got to take care of your family. So my wife and I work as a team and we have a plan, we have goals but there's no way I can go and do what I did, 10 years ago. So I think if you are, I just think in general, you should wait to have a family until you're kind of established because you don't want to struggle we have 3 kids. I couldn't imagine being struggling doing it. That's insane.
No.
So,
imagine, doing even a fraction of what you were doing.
But I think if you're a young kid, sacrifice. You don't get to just go get a nice fancy apartment, drive a nice car. Invest in yourself, sacrifice, bite the bullet, put your money where your mouth is, put your money to work for you, and don't care about what everyone else is doing. I literally always invested in myself, and I was big on that. I didn't want to be poor and I don't know. I just didn't want that. I didn't want to struggle.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I had a lot of years where I invested in myself, invested in. Even buying cameras, no one had Reds back in the day. I had a Red.
I remember.
You know how much work that got me because I had a Red?
Yeah.
But I invested. I had to go save up $40,000 to go buy a Red. Could have got a cool Escalade or something.
Yeah, something.
I did have an Escalade on a boat. But...
Hey, so what has been one of the biggest struggles in your life that you had to kind of deal with, and how did that change your creativity? Did it dampen it? Did it inspire it? What was that, and how did that happen?
I think for me, like my identity was always like the guy on the road. I was Luke's video guy. Like that was my identity, and I was really good at it, and I had a great career. And then, here comes COVID, shuts you down.
Yeah.
And then my brother passes away unexpectedly. And then I kind of made it to my 10-year mark. So I kind of just got off the road. And I think it was 2 years of like really hard, like internal stuff with my brother passing away. Mm. So like that was tough to deal with, I don't know. I mean, people deal with that kind of stuff, but it took me 2 years of like a weird space to kind of figure it out.
Did it kill some of your inspiration?
I'm a pretty inspired person naturally, but I think at that time I had just finished a 10-year project and I just finished a 6-year project with the Holiday Hut. Yeah. So I had two things that I was so passionate for. So I know exactly, I had a clear path of what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I accomplished both of those. My brother passes away and I just didn't have like a direction of like what I'm fired up about. So I just didn't have that. And I think that's okay. I don't think you have to always be on the go and like trying to like, I understand. I've always accepted it. Like I don't have a clear vision of something I'm fired up about, then it's okay. And I'm going to wait until I do. I've got 2 movie ideas that I'm fired up about and I'm going to figure it out and I'm working on it. And I'm putting the pieces in motion to make it happen. In a couple of years, I am going to have a movie out and it's going to be awesome.
I don't doubt it.
But I'm in the same place where you saw me with the last project. Yeah. And I'm going to do it my way. I don't want to do it anyone else's way. Yeah. If it takes me 10 years, so be it.
Yeah. I don't doubt that will come to fruition. Some things that we don't talk about, a lot of people don't talk enough about. I try to pop into it every once in a while. I deal with it myself, and I know a lot of us do. It's like mental health and like how the business almost just kind of wears you down. And there's really no solution other than go exercise and have a loving family but my point is just to shed light on the fact that it is there. I talk to DPs, huge DPs, and within a 45-minute conversation, 30 of it you can just dive into of just like anxiety, stress, merit, just all of the that's just to deal with life. Then there's the personal, like, okay, I haven't worked in 2 months, or and I can imagine what it is now, but also I dealt with it heavy during COVID as well, and it was low, and I can't imagine dealing with that low. We had to deal with it and move to this house. We moved, which wasn't, as you know, moving isn't easy either, but to deal with your brother's passing is and I know you guys were close and your family's close, so I know I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was tough. That was the other part. It's just like, yeah, I'm sad as shit my brother died, but I'm really sad for my family.
Yeah.
I gotta, talk to my mom every day who's not doing good,
Yeah.
So I'm big on like, I'm a very happy person. Luckily, I wake up happy every day, and I'm big on like, I'm gonna make my day the way I want. I'm gonna go on a walk. I'm gonna be outside. I'm gonna take my laptop and I'm gonna sit in the woods and do a treatment. I'm not gonna sit in somewhere that's not inspiring. I make my life the way I want it. I don't let stress come in. I stay a distant to a lot of stuff just because even the entertainment industry. I grew up in LA. I'm really over all of just the business.
Sure.
So I'm gonna do things my way. I'm gonna go back to being independent and just choose to make my day the way I want it. And it's just like I don't know, people. Yeah, our business is stressful and like so go and living on a tour bus and then being in a dark venue all day and not being outside. The best thing you can do is go outside and work out, and then you will feel good.
Yeah.
And when you're kind of in that life, it's tough to get motivated.
Okay. Something I thought of right when you said that is you got to be careful when you're out there too, in the sense of your opportunities, because you are gone and you are working, and it is kind of not, I wouldn't say lonely, but you're just kind of going through the day, right? There's a lot of downtime, and you're just sitting there going, I could so be doing so much more productivity towards my future.
Yeah.
You know, not all situations are like that. I mean, I like with Jake Owen, we shoot morning, noon, and night looking for these rad photos. That pumps me up.
Yeah.
But like, did you face that because you have so many dreams when you were out there? Were you just like, oh my God? Or was this 10-year dream overshadowing everything? Did you see past that and go, my God, I need to get the hell out of here? Question it. I mean, certainly you had to be like,
well,
oh my God, I'm my love life or whatever. My friends are at a wedding or whatnot, and I'm not in Cleveland visiting them. I'm over here. And
I mean, once you have a family, that changes everything. If I was a single guy, I could probably still be on the road.
okay.
But the reason that I kind of felt the itch to not be on the road was just I didn't feel challenged. So like, I mean, I lived on Luke's bus. If I had the camera out all day long and bugging the shit out of him, he would be like, get that away from me. And that's right. Like, I lived with him, so I'm not going to be filming all day.
Yes.
And, you know, like I was able to, I don't know. It's just like, I didn't feel challenged, like to keep, he was so busy too. I mean, Luke Bryan has a lot of things he does behind the scenes people don't see. So it wasn't like I can be like, hey, let's go do a music video today. He doesn't really have the time to do something like that. So I just felt like it was, you know, time for me. I wasn't challenged, and I also wanted to just be home with my family.
Yeah.
So it was just it just felt right for me. But like the guy that's out there now, he used to work for me, and he's young and single, and he's perfect for the job. That's exactly.
So it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
And I kind of said it 15 minutes ago.
It is a young man's game.
I said it 15.
Well, also,
you got to play a different strategy when you're my age.
Yeah,
I
know. You're old.
It's a little bit more G, you know?
You are old. No, but you got to think about, too, the industry has changed in 10 years. Back then, it was a luxury to have a video guy. Now, if you don't have someone on the road taking videos, photos, iPhone, whatever, content, then there's no way. You have to have somebody now. So everyone has a guy. And those guys are rightfully so earning opportunities to go do videos. They should.
Okay.
So now there's a lot less work for guys who are now freelancers on the road. If you're not on the road, you're not making the relationships with the other artists who do need projects. And a lot of the record labels now do a lot of things in-house to save money, which I feel bad for a lot of the guys that work there because they're getting their butts worked for probably not a lot of pay.
So who is winning? Because now, let me ask you this. What I understood there, directors who are production directors who are waiting for the phone call.
Yeah.
They're not going to get the call. Hear me out, inexperienced videographer, because that's what he is, or she, who is merely following the circus and documenting. Record label hiring a schmuck to bleed him or her out. Who is winning other than the record label hiring cheap? And then the ones with quality, experience, and knowledge to do it are moving on to greener pastures.
Yeah.
Is that what, I mean, because that was my last real question to talk about, was the state of the business, the state of the music video business, because I love it. Meaning, I love the music video, the music video, you know, and what is it becoming?
Man,
you know,
it was so cool back in the day.
I've had the weird honor, privilege to see it do this.
That's because you're old.
Yeah, I'm old. I had to shave to get rid of the old. But I mean, I've seen this thing rotate.
You really have. I mean,
yes.
you were like, I mean, dude, your career's been insane. And like, I think about like, you got to do VMAs. Like,
yes.
wasn't even around when that was even a thing.
Oh, I had motorhomes.
That was my dream. That's insane.
I had a motorhome just for us on set with our friends playing PlayStation and candles and pillows. And I mean, you know.
I mean, sound like an old man, but like, I just think we have there's so much content at our disposal, all these different social media platforms, and there's so much thrown at us that there's nothing I can see that's going to impress me.
Okay.
I'm just so diluted. Like that's why I don't even look at stuff, because I'm like, I don't care. I've seen everything.
The thing with me with social media that artists are getting confused with is they're not necessarily they're not seeing the direct, are these robots? Like it's numbers, you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of artists are losing the allure and inspiration to, they're inundated with making things. There's only so much quality you can make.
Or you put too much out, and then it's like dilutes it. It dilutes the value.
The value.
Like I used to literally count down the months, the weeks, the days until Tim McGraw, and then the hours till Tim McGraw's albums would come out when I was a kid.
Sure.
I don't even know when people stop. There's so much coming at us that like at some point you just gotta like, all right, I'm gonna go listen to jazz music and just mind my own business. Too much going on.
Too much going on. I mean, what?
But I think
do you think that too much is going on because we're listening to an algorithm?
But what I will say about social media, because my wife does social media for a living, and it is about the views and it's about the engagement. And I don't think the companies that are running social media in Nashville for these artists, they're like not hitting the right, like you have to keep engagement. Just because you have 2, 3, 4, 5 million followers, your engagement's not going to be good if you're just putting up your tour dates and you're not showing, like people do want to see the real stuff now, the less polished. It's not going to translate if like you're just like you're just advertising, like clearly you're just.
Okay, so if the less polished, let's say this. In social media, if that is the bar that the eyeballs see, and you're saying that the more natural and authentic it is, the more consumer it is, the better for numbers and such and such and such. Because I want everything to be about creativity. What does that mean? Does that mean there will always be a lane for that and a lane for the higher end? Or is the lane for that overtaking the higher end, which means the craft, the craft making of content becomes less?
Yeah.
Well, I mean that is a very, I would love to know. I had Julie Solomon on because I wanted to know about social media and what an old dinosaur like me who knew nothing of this and who does it with a podcast and all those other things. I get it. I understand the power of it and how cool it is. I do. But I'm saying, how is that directly steering the creative business? Us, the business. It becomes less and less work, right?
Well, yeah, but like why? Because if you're a director or a filmmaker, why all of a sudden I'm not going to be forced to go make TikTok videos. Like I'm just going to go find a different business to be in or do. I'm going to go.
That's it.
Make my own videos and do something else.
Well, there's less of a business in what you're doing.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The video business is, you got to go find another avenue. You're saying almost becoming an influencer.
I mean, I've been in part of so many campaigns, like even with my old job, the ACMs, like where they were trying to like get like YouTubers and like they really never translate. I think you just got to be yourself and real.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because when you have like, if you overthink stuff, it happens with all the time when I'm with my wife doing stuff for her. If I do something that looks great, literally with my nice camera, nice lenses, the numbers are never there, never translate. It performs terrible. But if we just on the whim pull out our phone, we film something natural, it'll have 500,000 story views. Like, and we look at engagement, like you have to, just because you have a lot of followers and you're not putting stuff engaged, reason for them to come back. Like I just don't know if in music yet, there might be some artists that are, but like, I don't know if like these people that are help steering these artists, I don't know if they're really digging in the right way.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they're not.
That's all I said.
Because out of curiosity, I look at numbers. I'm like, this person has a lot of followers. They have millions of followers, and they should have more views than that.
Why not that agency contact that artist, his people? They come in, they figure that artist is comfortable with his people. Okay, it needs to be this. You know what I mean? But they don't. They think they go create it. I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of success, people liking the content. I'm talking about the content produced by them.
Anytime, man, you can do a music video and you gotta do product placement, and you get and
Exactly.
I think it's weird. It's like
gets weird.
it looks awful. This makes no sense. Like, what are we doing here?
How is
But
music
at the same time,
selling picante salsa?
But at the same time, you are just being hired. It's like you're being hired. If I'm hiring you to landscape my yard and I want to bring in some weird fountain and another company to do it,
Amen.
I'm the boss and I'm hiring you.
Amen.
So you got to also like know that is the truth.
We got sidetracked because I that's a subject I don't know a lot about, and it's you can't escape social media.
You have to be
Yeah.
on social media.
Yes,
you
you
have
can't
to
escape it.
This is the thing I'll say. If you're hungry and young, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Use social media. You don't have to have a record label now. You don't have to be signed to an agent as a director. You literally can go and create, and people will find you if you're good, and you will grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your focus should be, no matter what you're trying to do now, because the eyes on social media are so much superior than the TV commercials, advertising, newspapers, whatever the old fashioned was.
Yeah.
You have to adapt now, and you should utilize it to your.
You should.
But
It's finding what that vision is for you.
man, how cool was it when like you had a CD and like it was a big deal and you had to like you just live with that CD. Like I just think I sound old, but
Well, you
man,
sound old. It won't come back.
That's too much stuff now out there. Like I don't know.
So what's next for you? You got your movies, you're writing scripts, you're being a dad, you got your rental home.
Yep, I am. I'm working on 2 movie scripts right now. One's called Sunset Doc. It's a romantic comedy up at the lake, and the other is called Dale Hollow. It's a horror film. So I'm working heavily on that. I've got some documentaries that I'm developing, some pretty cool stuff there that I can't talk about.
Sure.
And then I'm gonna keep building the holiday huts. I love that, man.
It's a beautiful.
I have so
spot.
much passion in that kind of stuff, and
Tell everybody what it is.
so I was riding around a tour bus, a little hazy. I'm on Pinterest and I'm like, I'm gonna build me a tiny house. And then I'm looking and then I see a Quonset hut, which is a steel dome. And then I see how cheap they are. And I was like, holy cow. So I went from building a tiny house to a 60 by 100 foot
Luxury.
metal building, 10,000 square feet inside of it. Basically, I created a place that you can go with your friends and family. It sleeps when I'm there, 26 people comfortably. It's massive. And it's designed to go out with a big group. It's got a movie theater. I have a Michael Jordan Bulls court, full court. It's by the lake. And I'm so passionate about the holiday hut. I'm more passionate about that right now than videos, honestly.
That's what I want to hear. What you're passionate about. Now you designed it. You built it.
All
you
on
were
a bus.
there. You were but you had to make your drives up. I remember putting
It took forever. It was like an adult.
You didn't just pay money and get it done. Like you built it and designed it and took time.
Yeah, I had no drawings. My friend Lindsay made me like an architectural, I had no drawings, no plans, no money, just kind of saved up $10,000 at a time, threw it into it, and just did it as I could. I had it like framed up and shelled for 2 years, but like no power, nothing, no windows. And I would go with my laptop and I'd edit my documentary with an extension cord. And I just had that fire, man. I just envisioned it. Like I envisioned like one day.
You can taste it.
Like I would fly with Luke from New York to LA and I would sit on an airplane and I'd stare at pictures of that project the whole time. I'd stare at the floor plan and I envisioned it. And I did that for so long until one day I woke up. And I think that's the biggest thing that's helped me in life. And most people don't do this. They don't envision what they want and they don't work towards it. If you give it 100% and you take the steps every day, at least forward, no matter how good or bad or whatever they are, you keep moving towards it. One day you will, by the grace of God, you will eventually be there.
No question.
And people don't, and I'm a living proof. I've done that with things in my life to a T. And I think most people are missing out on life if they don't do that. And so
step out, believe in yourself.
You just gotta just envision it too. Like
I remember there was a magazine called Film and Video. And I remember cutting out one of the papers because they did a back article on Kevin Kerslick, who was my mentor. And I manifested that. I cut out the piece of paper and it was a photo of him with his SR2 film camera with Scott Weiland directing the Vaseline video.
Oh yeah, Scott Weiland.
Yeah, and it's just this photo, and I remember cutting it out
Yeah.
putting it on my board. And as I was editing, I always saw him. And then he was the reason I moved to LA. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I love putting yourself in such a belief you can eat, sleep, drink this thing, and there's nothing else. I love that passion. I love that you have it towards your Quonset huts.
Yeah. I got a couple projects right now that I'm fired up about, and I've got that, and that's how I know it's going to work.
I'm about this with this podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
I
and
love
you're doing
this
great. And
podcast.
I know,
I love
you
this
have
podcast.
to have that, and that's
It's
the thing.
hard,
You're not
and it's a
worried
lot
about
of work, and he puts a lot of freaking work in. But it's fun to build something from the ground again. For me, and maybe that's what it was for you. You designed this thing on paper. You then had to break ground. You built something. That's kind of where I'm at, at this phase in my career of.
And it's okay if you don't have a vision of what you want too.
Yeah.
It's like, because you have to have a clear vision of what you want.
Yes.
You have to really like pray on it, talk to God, do whatever you do, be by yourself, listen to yourself. And then once you figure it out, you got to literally attack it 100%.
Break down walls.
Yeah.
Brother.
My man.
Love you, dude. Thank you so
Love you.
much for doing that. That was awesome.